Our reading this morning is from Genesis chapter 37 through to Genesis chapter 50. Quite a long reading. So we're going to hear it this morning as a selection of readings. This is the story of a boy who became a man. So let's start more or less at the beginning. A long time ago, a man called Jacob had two wives, and as often happens, the wives didn't get along very well. Jacob dearly loved the one called Rachel. He loved her far more than the other. For a long time, Rachel had no children, but finally she had a boy, a very precious boy, who she called Joseph. Joseph was the child that Jacob and Rachel had longed for, and he was so very special to his parents. Some may say far too special. Some may even go as far as to say that he was a spoiled brat. But we'll leave this for you to decide. Jacob had many other sons and daughters, but it was Joseph he loved the best. The Bible tells us Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other sons. Joseph had been born to him when he was old. Jacob made him a beautiful coat to wear. And the Bible tells us that Joseph's brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them. So they hated Joseph. They couldn't even speak one kind word to him. And then we read that Joseph had a dream, a very strange dream.
Hey guys, I just had a dream. It was so good. I got to be the boss. Fantastic. All of you bowed down to me. And you had to do everything that I told you to do.
Do you plan to be king over us? Will you really rule over us?
So they hated him even more because of his dream. They didn't like what he had said. And then Joseph had another dream, and he told his brothers.
Listen, I had another dream. This time, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars, they bowed down to me.
Now by this, Joseph and the whole family understood the sun and the moon to represent his parents, and the 11 stars his brothers. And of course Joseph, being Joseph, told his dad. Jacob was not at all pleased with Joseph and said,
So sorry, what about this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers really do that? Will we really come down and bow in front of you?
In the ancient world where Joseph lived, the children had great respect for their parents. What Joseph was suggesting was really quite shameful. So you see, this is a very dysfunctional family. Jacob had a favourite son, and naturally the other children resented this. Now it's a bit of a long story, but the brothers decided to kill Joseph. They hated him so much. The boys were looking after the sheep a long way from home, and Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers. They saw him a long way off before he reached them, and they made plans to kill him.
Well, here comes that dreamer. Come, let's kill him. Let's throw him into one of these empty wells. Let's say that a wild animal ate him up. Then we'll see whether his dreams will come true.
When Joseph came to his brothers, he was wearing his beautiful coat. They took it away from him, and they threw him into a well. The well was empty. There wasn't any water in it. Then they sat down to eat their meal, and as they did, they saw some traders coming. They were on their way to Egypt. Now remember, all of this happened a long time ago, and Joseph's brothers hated him very much. So they sold him as a slave. And they took Joseph's beautiful coat, put some blood on it, and told Jacob that Joseph had been eaten by a wild animal.
Well, Joseph knew who he could trust in difficulties. Our next song will be When the Cares of Life. When the Cares of Life is our next song.
slave in the house of a very rich Egyptian called Potiphar. The Lord was with Joseph. He gave him great success. So Potiphar was pleased with Joseph. He put Joseph in charge of his house. With Joseph in charge, he didn't have to worry about anything except the food he ate. Joseph was strong and handsome. After a while, Potiphar's wife noticed Joseph. She said to him,
Ah, sweet Joseph, make love to me.
No! My master has put me in charge, and he trusts me to take care of everything. My master hasn't held anything back except you. You are his wife. How could I do such an evil thing like that? How could I sin against God?
She spoke to Joseph day after day, but he told her he wouldn't make love to her. He didn't even want to be with her. One day, Joseph went into the house to take care of his duties. None of the family servants was inside. Potiphar's wife grabbed hold of him by his coat.
Sweet Joseph, this is our last chance. Make love to me.
No! No! No!
He ran out of the house, but he left his coat in her hand. Potiphar's wife was furious because Joseph resisted her advances. She kept Joseph's coat with her until Potiphar came home, and then she told him a story.
This Hebrew slave, he came to rape me, but I screamed for help. And he left his coat beside me and ran away out of the house. Go and get him.
When Potiphar heard her story, he became very angry. So he put Joseph in prison. Can you imagine how Joseph was feeling? His brothers had sold him as a slave, but now he was trying to do the right thing, and he's in an even worse situation. But the Bible tells us the Lord was with Joseph. He gave Joseph success in everything he did, and despite all the setbacks, despite spending many years in prison, he eventually became a very high official in Egypt, second only to the king.
As you will see in the next part of our story of Joseph, blessed are the humble. So that will be our next song. Remain seated for this one.
So the years went by. When Joseph was sold as a slave, he was 17 years old, and he was 30 when he began serving the king. And again, Joseph had great success in all he did. For 7 years there was a rich harvest, and Joseph made the people store the grain, and then for 7 more years the crops failed. Joseph's family back in his homeland was starving, so they came to Egypt to buy grain. We won't go into all the details, but eventually Joseph was reunited with his brothers. The whole family moved to Egypt and lived there. Another 17 years went by, and Jacob became very ill and eventually died. Now that their father was dead, Joseph's brothers were worried.
Remember all the bad things we did to Joseph? What if he decides to hold those things against us? What if he pays us back for them?
So they sent a message to Joseph.
Your father gave us directions before he died. He said, here's what you must say to Joseph. Tell him.
I am asking you to forgive your brothers. Forgive the terrible things they did to you. Forgive them for treating you so badly.
Now then, please forgive our sins. We serve the God of your father.
When their message came to Joseph, he sobbed. Then his brothers came and threw themselves down in front of him.
We are your slaves.
But Joseph said to them,
Don't be afraid. Do you think I am God? You planned to harm me, but God planned it for good. He planned to do what is now being done. He wanted to save many lives. So then, don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your children.
he set them free from their fears, and he spoke in a kind way to them. Joseph stayed in Egypt along with all his father's families. He lived 110 years. He lived long enough to see his children and his grandchildren. And that's the end of our little drama.